Hey everyone, welcome back. It's been a wild ride in AI land lately, hasn't it? You know I like to stay on top of all the latest developments, and you've sent over a ton of articles to prove it. Let's just say even I'm feeling the need for a little information detox. So today we're doing a deep dive into the biggest AI stories of the day and why they matter to you.
Yeah, it's definitely gone beyond just the tech news now, hasn't it? It's everywhere you look.
Seriously. So let's jump right in with, well, this was a big one. Amazon ditching remote work. 5 days a week back in the office. Can you believe it? This is the company that practically made remote work the norm. What's going on here?
I know, right? It's a real head scratcher. Some people are saying it's all about control, getting everyone back under one roof, maybe even some cost cutting they don't want to talk about.
But others think it's more about innovation.
Or the supposed lack of it when everyone's working remotely.
That's a good point. Like they're worried they'll fall behind if their teams aren't brainstorming face to face.
Exactly.
Makes you wonder, though, what does this mean for the future of tech jobs? Will everyone have to relocate to Silicon Valley or Seattle now if they want to work for a company like Amazon? Talk about a shift in the landscape.
Absolutely. This could be a real game changer for the whole industry. It's going to be fascinating to see if other companies follow suit, ditch the remote work policies and head back to the office.
Yeah, if Amazon's doing it, it makes you wonder, right?
Yeah.
All right, next up, let's talk about Saudi Arabia. Not exactly the first place you think of when it comes to cutting-edge AI, right? But get this. Groq is partnering with Aramco over there to build what could be the world's largest AI data center. So what's the story there? Why is Saudi Arabia suddenly so interested in AI?
Well, first of all, you got to hand it to Groq. They're making a serious play in the AI hardware space if they can pull this off. But for Saudi Arabia, this is about ambition. They want to be a major player in the future of AI, and they've got the resources to do it.
That makes sense. I mean, AI requires huge amounts of computing power and energy, right?
Exactly. And Saudi Arabia has both in spades. Plus, they've got the space for these massive data centers. This partnership is a clear sign that they're not just dipping their toes in the water, they're diving headfirst into the AI pool.
It's almost like they're saying, move over, Silicon Valley, there's a new tech hub in town. But seriously, this really highlights how intertwined geopolitics and AI are becoming. It's not just a tech race anymore, it's a global power shift. Okay, on to a story that's causing quite a stir in the AI ethics world. Sam Altman stepping down from OpenAI's safety committee. At first glance, it seems like an internal matter, but this is OpenAI we're talking about. They're leading the charge in AI development, and their safety protocols, well, they're kind of important for the future of, humanity.
Absolutely. It's raised a lot of eyebrows, for sure.
So what are your thoughts? Is this a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, it's tough to say for sure. I mean, on the one hand, you could argue that it's good that Altman's removing himself from the equation, to avoid any conflict of interest.
I see. So the committee can operate completely independently.
Right. But then again, it makes you wonder, does this mean he's not entirely confident in the very safety measures he helped put in place?
It's a valid point. Like, maybe he doesn't want to be held directly accountable if things go sideways. And let's be real, the whole point of this committee is to make sure OpenAI's technology is developed and used ethically, which is kind of a big deal considering their influence. It's definitely a situation worth keeping an eye on.
It really makes you think about the whole, the balance between pushing the boundaries of AI and making sure it doesn't, go off the rails.
No kidding. Okay, ready for a little change of pace? Let's talk about Chipotle.
Chipotle.
Yeah. Apparently they're adding robots to their culinary team.
Oh, you mean the cobots?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're designed to work alongside the employees, not replace them.
Cobots, right. But still, every time I hear about robots in the workforce, I can't help but think, is my job safe?
I get it. But in this case, Chipotle says it's all about making things better for the employees, not pushing them out.
Really?
Yeah. Like imagine those robots handling the repetitive stuff, chopping veggies, portioning out the rice. That frees up the human workers to focus on, like customer service and, those things that require a human touch.
So more like robot assistants than replacements.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe it'll even make the employees' jobs more enjoyable, right? Less tedious work, more time to interact with people.
Interesting. It's kind of a cool example of how AI can actually improve things for workers, not just, take their jobs. Okay, speaking of AI and trust, let's talk about Google's latest move. They're jumping into the fight against fake images online. And let me tell you, with all these AI-generated images floating around these days, it's getting harder and harder to tell what's real anymore.
I know, right? Like, is that a real photo or something some AI dreamed up?
Exactly. So what's Google's plan? Are they going to like just delete anything that looks suspicious?
Well, not exactly. They're teaming up with this group called the Coalition for Content Provenance and Authenticity. It's a mouthful. But basically, they want to create a system that can tell if an image is legit or not, like if it was taken with a regular camera or if it's AI generated.
Oh, okay. So kind of like a fact-checking system for images.
Yeah, exactly. They're talking about like embedding some kind of digital watermark or something that shows the image's history. So you'd know if it had been edited or completely fabricated by AI, and then that information would be visible in search results.
That's pretty cool, actually. So you'd know whether to trust what you see or not. No more falling for those too good to be true photos online. All right, one last story before we move on. Remember all those complaints about AI tools being slow and clunky? Well, it seems like Microsoft was listening. They just gave their Copilot AI a major speed boost and added a bunch of new features.
Yeah, they're really stepping up their game.
So what's new? Tell me everything.
Okay, so first of all, they've got this thing called Copilot Pages. Basically, it's like a shared workspace where you and your team can work on stuff together, but the AI is right there in the document with you.
Whoa, hold on. So it's like having an extra team member, but, without the awkward office small talk.
Pretty much. The AI can help you brainstorm ideas, find relevant information, even suggest different ways to write something.
That's wild. What else?
Okay, get this. Copilot agents.
Copilot agents.
Yeah. Think of it like personal AI assistants. You can train them to do specific tasks,
Okay.
like scheduling meetings, generating reports, you name it. And the cool part is that Microsoft is making it easier for people to create their own Copilot agents, even if you're not, a coding whiz.
So wait, you're saying that even I could potentially have my own little AI assistant? That's amazing, but also kind of intimidating. What does it mean for the average person who's not a tech expert? It feels like we're on the verge of this massive shift.
Totally.
Okay.
And that's really what it all comes down to, right? The democratization of AI. It's not just for the big companies anymore.
It's of everyone.
It's true, and it's exciting and maybe a little overwhelming all at the same time.
That's a lot. But all this talk about democratization brings us back to those ethical questions we were discussing earlier. It's great that these tools are becoming more available, but we have to use them responsibly, right?
Absolutely. More than ever. We can't just focus on what AI can do. We also have to think about what it shouldn't do.
It's that classic dilemma, right? The power of technology versus the responsibility that comes with it.
Exactly. And the OpenAI situation, that's a prime example. Finding that balance, pushing the boundaries while still having those ethical safeguards in place. It's a tightrope walk for sure. And it's not just about, preventing robots from taking over the world.
Although, let's be honest, that's a fun one to think about.
Haha,
Yeah.
it is. But there are so many other ethical considerations that are maybe less obvious, but just as important. Like, how do we make sure AI algorithms aren't biased? How do we protect people's privacy when AI is involved? What happens to jobs as AI becomes more sophisticated? These are big questions, and there aren't always easy answers.
Definitely a lot to unpack there. So for our listeners who've been with us on this AI journey today, if they only remember 3 things from this whole deep dive, what should they be?
Okay, number 1. The world of AI is evolving at an incredible pace. Like, what seemed impossible a year ago is becoming reality. We're living in the future, whether we're ready for it or not.
And things are only going to get more interesting from here. What's number 2?
AI's impact goes way beyond just technology. We're talking about global politics, the future of work, even our relationships with each other.
Right. AI is changing how we understand the world and our place in it. Okay, last one. What's the third big takeaway?
We've got to be open to learning and adapting. This is an ever-changing landscape, and the more we understand it, the better equipped we'll be to navigate it.
I love that. It's not enough to keep up anymore. We have to stay curious, keep asking questions. Which brings me to my final thought for all of you. We've seen AI write code, create art and music, even try its hand at making the perfect burrito. So where does that leave human creativity? Is AI a tool, a partner, a competitor, something else entirely? Something to ponder as we venture further into this brave new world of AI. Until next time, thanks for joining us for another deep dive.